Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All Things Middle-earth here with a video looking at the brand new Huorn and Giant Spider bosses in the Heart of a Hero event. So stay tuned and we're going to check that out in just 1 second. Okay, so if you didn't know, they updated Heart of a Hero and added two more bosses for us. The Huorn right here, as well as the Giant Spider, if I can find one nearby, right here. And I wanted to show some battle reports that I have on both these commanders on my evil and good accounts and kind of get the conversation started. This is not necessarily a guide video, but I will give you my thoughts on generally how I think you can go about taking down these heroes and how they compare to the heroes we already have, or the bosses rather, that we already have in the game. So, in really no particular order here, I'm going to go through some different reports here from attacking these different bosses. Now, the first one that I attacked was the Giant Spider here, and I took in my Gore Bag running this build here, which is just basically as much of the damage reduction and healing with a single troop type. And I, in this case, was running the Raiders more because I had more of them, and they did get the bonuses, the extra damage from Watchmen of Kirith Ungol. So I ran Raiders, even though a troop like the Reaper would generally be better if you're going against Balrogs or Dragons. So I would be curious to see how much more the damage could scale from here. But in terms of the skills, they're pretty basic here. And this was a situation, you can see that the wounded was 26, dead was 16. So absolutely minuscule losses here against the Giant Spider with the Gore Bag. Same thing here. You have 21 and then 32 for wounded and then dead. And then he didn't even get to hit him a third time before he got knocked out there. So for Gore Bag, basically it's good news for evil. It does seem like the Giant Spider is going to be very well handled by Gore Bag, in addition to the Balrog and the Dragon. So no major changes here, just running a build like this with a single troop type. The Raiders are nice because they're quick, and so you can move them around a little bit faster. So if you do run them for this event specifically, it's kind of nice. The next commander I sent in was one that was a little bit lower leveled than my Gore Bag. This was Yasra, and I'm actually getting ready to do a test a video on her a little bit later. But I just had a kind of, equal thirds comp of evil men with her running this build, which is Easterling and Experienced Warrior maxed out. Again, solid gear on here right now, so, just keep that in mind. But pretty standard evil men tier 3 comp, and I just wanted to see how much damage is the spider going to output, especially against a commander who is a little bit lower leveled. And as you can see, we got close to 300k soldier damage and took about 700, a little under 800 losses here in terms of dead. And obviously, that's going to continue to scale up more and more depending on how many troops you have. So again, the moral of that was just that even with a lower level, just over 40 level commander, you weren't going to lose huge amounts of your marches. The one thing I will bring up about the spider that is unique is the Cobweb Twine is going to give commanders negative 20 damage dealt, stacking up to 80%. So if you go to round 4 here, you'll see that Yasra has negative 80% damage dealt, and then the 5th round here, it's at the stack limit. So not that you'd necessarily want to, I'm going to move away from that spider. He's making all kinds of gross noises. Not that you'd necessarily want to bring in a damage dealing commander, but I do think with there being more options where they are not so focused on fire damage or resisting fire, they could do solid. But against the spider specifically, I think they're going to struggle a little bit more. And as far as the good side goes against the Giant Spider, I just wanted to showcase a little bit how I think you're going to be able to use more types of commanders. At least in my experience, especially, it seems like good is really the king of Heart of the Hero because they have a lot more healing commanders who can just go in, have very low troop lossage, and over time just wear out the Balrog or the Dragon. So I took in some other commanders who maybe wouldn't be favorites. I think Balin, I used him last weekend or the weekend before, and he did fine running basically this build here. Not really focusing on the healing too much, but I believe there's a little bit in here just on Revivalist. I guess there's just the 1 unit type, but you could also run a little bit more of a healing build with him. But either way, this is still more of a commander damage type build for him, and you can see the troop losses were not very much here as well. A lot of the damage did come from the soldiers. So in these builds, like in this example, Balin, who mostly has the commander damage skills as opposed to a little bit more healing or troop buffing, he did not do as well, but the spider's not putting out enough damage for it to really be a huge deal. And then here again, someone like Halder, who I wouldn't really ever consider for using for Heart of a Hero, is again here with the Sentinels and the Guardians. Almost 500 dead. That's fantastic. Again, commander damage, we're not worried about that, especially for Haldir. But getting close to 300k damage there was a pretty nice surprise on someone who I wouldn't normally run in on a Balrog or a Dragon, just because the fire damage seems to eat some of these guys up. But again, it doesn't seem like the Spider's putting out really great damage, but I do feel like he's going to reduce the amount of damage that commanders themselves can do. So if you use a commander that themselves does a lot of the damage, you may see some struggles with that in the Spider. But other than that, if you can just get some good troops in there and there's a little bit of damage mitigation or healing, I think you're going to do fantastic against the giant spider. And then back to the evil account for some testing on the Huorn. I have not been able to do this on the good account more. So if you have some reports that you'd like to share, feel free to comment those down below or hop in the Discord and share those as well. But I ran the same Gorbag build on the Huorn. Now the Huorn does seem to be a lot more tanky. The specific skill that the Huorn has is going to be, let's see here. The specific skill is going to be this one here, where the physical damage received by the Huorn is going to be reduced by 30%, but the burn damage is increased by 30%. So really good news for evil here, because the fire damage, the burn damage that's going to be able to be output is going to be insane, as you're going to see in a second. So running Gorbag, not burn damage, again, the damage being output by the Huorn is almost nothing. I lost 17 of the Raiders here. That's just like, that's nothing. So this is fantastic, but only about 80,000 soldier damage. Commander damage, obviously, there's like none of that there. But this was fine because we didn't lose any. But then I thought we'd give the Witch King a crack at it with some alchemists. Again, my Witch King doesn't even have, actually, I did put some gear on him. I didn't have gear for a little while, but got my Witch King build right here and ran him primarily with alchemists. But I threw some berserkers and trolls in there because I wasn't sure what kind of damage the Huorn would put out. Now, obviously, this is more losses than Gorbag took, because there's no real damage mitigation or healing. So this could change if you go heavier on the alchemists, but then again, the damage is also going to go up. So here on this first hit for the Witch King, he dealt 400, or the alchemist dealt 454,000. The total damage received after the Witch King's added 10k is 463,000. So a huge amount of damage there by the alchemists. Again, and same thing as we saw in other reports, as we continue going, if you let it draw out like this, the troop losses is going to increase and increase because you have less and less of them to kind of spread that out. So a little bit more losses here, and the damage goes down a little bit more. And then same thing, we're still staying around that like 400 to 600 losses, so it doesn't like spike up or anything at a certain point. But just letting that go through and draw, he did a ridiculous amount of damage there. And that's how you can see where we finished. So all the berserkers are gone. We have 40 trolls left and about 17 command of alchemists out of 41 starting. So kind of expensive troop-wise there with the Witch King, but the damage output is pretty crazy with the extra fire damage you get there. And another commander I wanted to show, let me just remind you here, Witch King, one of the most crazy commanders, alchemists, 463,000 damage there to the Huorn. I went ahead and tested my Sharku because I've been working on Sharku, got a video coming out. He's not been amazing, but he does have some burn damage skills himself. So I put in a combination of alchemists and corsairs with him, just half and half, 37 command of each of them. And this one did not actually have any gear, so this could be a lot better. Now, I'm not making a case for Sharku here. I'm just wanting to point out I found another use for him, and I think you'll understand more. If you see my video that comes out the day after this one, you'll understand where I'm coming from a little bit more. But this is the commander burn damage build for Sharku, which also is going to have fuel oil and increase burn damage received by the enemies, so the Huorn in this case. And as you can see, the total commander damage, or the total damage received, was 456,000, just less than 10k shy of what the Witch King put out with Alchemist. And there was a little bit less Alchemist, although you could make the case that we had more burn damage troops here with the Corsair. But again, I'm not saying Sharku's going to be worth leveling up because of this, but hey, I found another use for him, and you can see the commander damage sat there at 800 or 88,000 here for commander damage because of that burn he gets. And again, that's going to slowly, we're going to diminish over time as we lose more and more troops. But still, basically between the Witch King and Sharku here, I kind of one hit this thing, which was pretty cool, even though there were some losses there. So again, that's the Huorn and the giant spider. The giant spider who we actually see in the picture we've seen for a long time. They did change the layout of how this works. So these unlock the gems, and then the Matham unlock at 10 through 50% and 10% increments. Again, if you deal 50% total boss damage, you're going to get up there. We're sitting at 10. I was sitting at 2 earlier, but I haven't kept on it here. So might need to send the Witch King out some more for that. But again, the good news is I think there are going to be more commanders that are going to be viable for Heart of a Hero. It seems like I don't really see the Huorn or Giant Spider hitting super, super hard. So to me, this is a good thing because it means that evil is probably going to have a better chance at keeping up with good when Heart of a Hero comes up, especially early season when gold is pretty viable. This, I think, evens the playing field a little bit more, which is very nice because good does not have as much burn damage. Obviously, if you're playing non-role play, you kind of got a lot more options at your disposal. But I think it just makes it more accessible to more commanders and more alignments, either good or evil. The con here is that I think it's going to make gold obsolete even faster because if this is easier to do or it's at least more accessible, which is a good thing, it does mean that in theory people are going to just get gold faster and max out everything and just have stockpiles of gold sooner. So it may become obsolete a little bit sooner. I think it would have been interesting to see a little bit of different rewards worked in here somehow. But at the end of the day, I'm glad we got new units. I've been asking why the giant spider isn't here. I think it was actually bugged in the beta. But we got the giant spider and we got a surprise with the Huorn, so I was pretty happy with it. And again, at the end of the day, it allows us to just have a little bit more variety. It's not just Balrogs and Dragon, and it's not just reducing fire damage. There's a little bit more thought that can go into it and can get more commanders involved, which overall I think is a good thing. But I'd love to hear what you think down below. This is by no means like an end-all be-all guide for these new bosses. Just want to share my experiences with them and how I felt. So I'd love to hear what you use down below. Let me know, or if you're not in the Discord already, consider joining that and letting me know over there what commanders and builds and troops you ran and saw success with on these new ones. But that is going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you all in a future one.